Welcome to GFN Gaming, I'm Russ, and in today's game we rejoin the stranded Bloodsworn chapter of Space Marines as they mount a counter-offensive against the Hive fleet, starting with a boss battle against the deadly Harospex. There is a campaign refresher video giving you a relatively quick catch-up on the story so far that will get you all the way to the intro of episode 8. Please do like and subscribe, and if you want to support the channel in any other way, please consider joining the Patreon. There's an exclusive Discord and all videos get released early to patrons. That said, please sit back and enjoy episode 10 of the narrative campaign, Horrors of the Hive Fleet.
As the Imperial strike cruiser, the Angel's Wrath, breaks apart across the prow of the Hive Fleet's main vessel, kill teams of Astartes perform emergency evacuations onto the craft. Stranded now on the Hive ship, the Astartes face a seemingly unending wave of Hive Fleet operatives. As leadership surveys their options, they are attacked by a monstrous Tyranid creature, the Harospex.
Why not, Gabriel? We've made it this far. We're certainly overdue some good news. You just have to say it. What are you waiting for? Open fire! Is that it? Is it dead? Really? Do you think it's calling for support? I don't want to see the thing that this monster needs help from. Agreed. Squad, get ready to move. Do we know if any Rhinos made it?
I'll check, Captain. Although...
What?
The men don't use them, Captain.
Really? Why? It's never really been clear to me either, Captain. The height, perhaps? They would have to hunch. Can't they just sit? I mean, they could just... Whatever that beast called out for is getting closer. We can't be here when it arrives. Sergeant, take your squad and focus fire on the Gene Stealers. What about the Harospex? We'll handle it.
In this custom mission, the Harospex starts the game submerged and will strike at the end of turn 1. Heavy terrain will be numbered and selected at random, deciding where the Harospex will emerge. And the objective in this mission is very simple. The team with the most amount of wounds remaining on the kill zone at the end of turn 4 is the victor. Stranded on the Hive Fleet's main ship, the Astartes of the Bloodsworn chapter of Space Marines battle for their survival. The ground beneath their feet trembles and shakes as the huge beast that harries them lies in wait. As they prepare for combat with the Harospex, more operatives of the Hive Fleet are called to its aid, and a fire team of Tyranid warriors joins the battle. Before the battle can begin proper, at a pulse of synaptic energy, the Tyranid warrior leader stalks forward towards the Bloodsworn commander's lines. Acting first, Bloodsworn Blade Guard Captain Palamedes moves forward, plants his storm shield behind a makeshift barricade, and waits for the Tyranids to move. Clambering over the barrier in front of it, the warrior gunner moves behind the barricade. As it does, Captain Arcamus moves out to get lines of sight across the battlefield and takes cover behind a barricade. Moving forward and sticking to the shadows, a Tyranid warrior darts behind the protection of a cargo crate. Chaplain Tritus climbs atop the wrecked repulsor to survey the kill zone. With no sign of the Harospex on the battlefield, Chaplain Tritus aims his Guardian pattern bolt rifle at the warrior gunner and fires. Bolt shells rip through the monster, but the beast is able to weather the storm of bolter fire with only minor injuries. Not wanting to press too far ahead and draw fire, the warrior leader moves forward slightly, remaining concealed, looking to bait forward an enemy operative and charge into melee when the time is right. Unable to draw any line of sight to any of the warriors, Lieutenant Sagramore moves forward ahead of Captain Arcamus, instinctively looking to put himself ahead of his captain should the enemy charge. With an explosion of chitin and flesh from the Hive fleet craft, the Harospex emerges onto the battlefield. At full strength, the Harospex is a deadly opponent. As it shakes loose the debris, its huge, monstrous maw opens. Darting forward, the monster's lethal tongue races out towards Blade Guard Captain Palamedes, who is just able to bring his shield up to deflect the ranged attack. Changing tactics, the monstrous Harospex clambers over the repulsor tank to engage both Palamedes and Chaplain Tritus at the same time. Huge shoveling claws crack open power armor with ease, and Chaplain Tritus is taken out of action. Still recovering from the earlier attack, Palamedes is overwhelmed by the ferocity of the Harospex and also crushed by the monster's huge shoveling claws. Despite taking out 2 of the enemy commanders on its own, the Harospex is heavily wounded in the ferocious attack, vitae leaking from huge wounds carved into the monster's flanks. Looking to secure the flank and protect Captain Arcamus, Lieutenant Sagramore darts forward to target the Tyranid warrior leader. Opening fire with his Guardian pattern heavy bolt pistol, the Tyranid warrior is hammered with bolter fire, crumbling under the destructive volley. It takes 2 bursts to take the warrior out of action, and now out of position, the Tyranid warrior gunner repositions to fire on Lieutenant Sagramore with its venom cannon. The beast lopes forward, resting the huge barrel of the venom cannon on the chitinous protrusions of the Hive fleet and fires on the lieutenant. A salvo of crystallized corrosive poison crash into the lieutenant's power armor, venomous residue burning through the ceramite. His organs are punctured and he feels the poison start to do its work, but the lieutenant is not done yet. He girds himself against the pain of his wounds and braces himself for the next attack. Before it does though, his captain moves. Shoulder to shoulder with the lieutenant, Arcamus aims his mastercrafted bolt rifle at the terrifying Harospex and fires. Bolt shells punch through the chitin into the sinewy flesh beneath, drawing more howls from the beast, but it's not enough to take it out of action. As smoke rises from the lieutenant's armor, ceramite dissolving from the venom cannon fire, and sensing its opponent is near its end, the Tyranid warrior clambers over the chitinous barricade and crashes into Lieutenant Sagramore. Unwilling to yield any ground, the lieutenant spins his Guardian power sword in a killing arc and separates the warrior from its head, blinking away battle rune warnings in his helmet display of fresh damage and his own failing vital signs. Firing in Overwatch now, Captain Arcamus once again targets the Harospex and fires. Bolter shells hammer home, but most deflect off the chitin, and the beast still lives. Lumbering forward on unsteady legs, the Harospex moves towards Captain Arcamus. Unable to make it into combat with the enemy commander, it lashes out with its grasping tongue. Leaning into the blow, Arcamus is able to absorb some of the damage with his shoulder pad. However, the poison the tongue secretes floods into his system through the fresh wounds, and he staggers back from the attack. His vision blurs and his legs no longer steady. Managing to get the drop on the Imperial forces, the Tyranid warrior with venom cannon moves first. Breaking from cover, it levels its venom cannon and fires once again into Lieutenant Sagramore. Unable to withstand any more damage, the lieutenant is finally taken down. The warrior then paces around the barricade to get line of sight on the captain. Outnumbered and outgunned, Captain Arcamus makes a break for it. Moving towards a Tyranid gunner, he aims with his mastercrafted bolt rifle and fires on the move. Bolt shells punch through the gunner, knocking it to the ground and taking it out of action. With his last ounce of energy, Arcamus races on, trying to put as much distance between himself and the Harospex as possible. With a howl of frustration as its prey flees, the Harospex charges forward, slamming into the cargo container before it gives way to the Harospex's crushing claws. Picking up speed, the Harospex races towards the captain, slamming into chitinous barricades as it does, smashing them into rubble as it continues its unstoppable charge. Unable to reach the captain, the Harospex reaches out with its grasping tongue. Barbs rake across the captain's armor, gouging deep grooves, but Arcamus dives out of the way of the killing strike. Sensing the end is upon him, Captain Arcamus aims down the sights of his bolt rifle and fires. At this close range it's hard to miss, but the beast's chitinous form soaks up much of the damage. Casting aside his bolt rifle, he hefts his power sword in both hands. The beast's gigantic maw opens to drag the captain in, and Arcamus lets it. Using the pull of the Harospex tendrils to add momentum to his own charge, he leaps forward, blade raised high, and punches it through the top of the Harospex open maw, straight through into the brain beyond. Igniting his power blade, the electricity pulses along the blade, frying everything in reach, and the beast is still. Pulling his blade free, the Harospex slumps to the ground, defeated.
Sergeant Travoyan, copy?
Copy, Captain. I'm still here.
How are we looking, Gabriel?
Looks like we're clear for the moment. Squad Nemetor found us.
How is that rascal?
He's good, and he has good news.
I told you it was overdue.
I never doubted it, Arcamus.
Liar. What's the news?
They have a dreadnought and a unit of storm ravens. Looks like we might be getting off this thing.
Good. Prepare the men for an evacuation. Also, and considering your actions of late, I'm a bit reticent to tell you this.
Oh,
He has a vortex bomb.
really?
Yes. One of the 3 prototypes the AdMech was set to test on Custodes.
That is something. We're not leaving yet, are we, Captain?
No, Gabriel. Not quite yet.
If you've made it this far, thanks so much for watching. Big thanks to my patrons and Travis in particular for helping out with the rules, creating the rules for the Harospex. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.